Prison traumatic stress disorder. After serving my time in the segregated housing unit, one day they cuffed me up and said I was going back to the main line. They transferred me to a level 4 maximum security prison called Salinas Valley, better known as the Death Octagon, as so many inmates die or are killed there. I learned quickly this is a vicious place. The first yard I go to, I see a homie get his neck split with a shank. Yard recall. They leave us on lockdown for a couple of months, then it would happen again. Another stabbing, another long lockdown. This is how my time in Salinas Valley went. Then we started programming, going to yard and going to school, and out of nowhere a vicious prison riot erupts. Us Southsiders against the Norteños. They rushed us with a bunch of homemade knives, but we outnumbered them by 25 and we savagely protected ourselves. This was my first experience with the prison riot. They are the bloodiest barbarian events, very hard to explain to a person who has never been through it. Right after this, I was then transferred to New Folsom. 2 months later, I got in my next second chance. I was out at yard walking around with the homie around the track. I'll never forget this moment. A bird took a shit on his shirt. I started clowning him. Haha, essay, you got shitted on by a bird. We continued to walk around the track to a water fountain so the homie could wash his shirt, not knowing that a bloody riot, one of the most gruesome ones in New Folsom State Prison's history, was about to erupt. I remember it got very quiet. The homie looked up at me and said, "Is it me, or did it just get super quiet?" I looked over to see a couple of our homies digging up our stash of homemade butcher knives. I then seen all the homies gathered at the top of the hill in our property. I told the homie, "Let's get to our property, something's up." We get up there and the homie hands me a huge butcher knife, looks me in the eyes and says we're rushing the Bay Area blacks. And within the blink of an eye, we were like army ants rushing at full speed. Why are we fighting? We're both oppressed. Why are we fighting against each other, falling into the hands of what this system wants? As the Bay Area blacks came running towards us, I started to stab and stick a guy, and it all became a blur. I was screaming, "Su 13" at the top of my lungs as I stabbed a guy who fell to the ground, and I heard as concrete chunks hit me in my face. I repositioned myself and I continued to stab the guy on the floor. I was in an unconscious state of mind full of warrior adrenaline that I didn't know existed in me. And again, boom, concrete chunks hit me in my face. I saw a prison officer zeroing in on me with a Mini 14 semi-automatic rifle pointed at my head. I then realized he was trying to kill me. I instantly stopped to take off, running up a hill to see a group of my homies getting 3 Bay Areas. We were then shot at again. By the time this battle ended, it had gone on for 10 minutes. When I sat down and came back to my mind, I seen bloody bodies laying everywhere. As I watched them escort lifeless bodies off the yard and I looked around to see all my homies on top of the hill in the Bay Area's property, it dawned on me I almost got shot in the head twice. We sat there for hours as helicopters flew around in the air. It was all over the news. We were on lockdown for almost 2 years after this riot. Why are we fighting? Why aren't we together as one? We need to come together as one. We need to quit falling into these traps that are put in place by the system to divide and conquer us all. It's time to unite and come together, black power, brown pride, and realize that as long as we're divided, we're conquered. Until the day that we are together as one, we will not be able to abolish the system that's in place. So it's time to grab hands together as one force, and fight off this brutal state of oppression that this disgusting capitalist system has brought into our lives. In mass incarceration, how is this rehabilitating us? Look at all this killing, all these riots, all these stabbings. Stop killing each other. It's time to come together as one. It's time to be one force against this oppressive state they call the Department of Corruption.